Hello, ladies. Oh, I can't hear you. Hang on. Oh, God. Oh, now I can.
You can hear us? Okay.
Yep. Now,
Paul and Keith are here too, so it's not just the ladies.
no. Okay. Hi, everyone.
Was that somebody else coming in behind me or?
I think it was just a door.
Okay.
I didn't see
It
anybody.
clicking closed. Okay, let me just call up the agenda. Give me 1 second. So I will call the meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. Roll call and seating of alternates. I'll start with me, Christina Davis, I'm present. Keith Lipker,
Present.
Paul Varga,
Present.
Pam Summers,
Here.
Judith Austin. I know she let me know she wasn't going to be able to come. Angie DeSanto is not present. Well, that would be 6. And then for alternates, Paula Love is not present, Tim Rhodes is not present, and Hugh McKenzie not present. But we do have a quorum, so we can move forward. In terms of communications, which is the next item on the list. Let's see, do I have? Okay, most of everything is on the agenda lower down, so I'm not gonna go into too much communications. Oh, one thing, just today, there was an exchange, there's a email list for Board of Finance members in Connecticut that started about like 6 months ago, that it's organized through the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, which is actually something I actually asked them to create it so that we could all share ideas. And today was an example of where it's helpful because someone had a question about the municipal spending cap and what the status of that is. And so there was actually information shared that as part of the most recent legislative round and budget passage, the municipal spending cap is not in effect for fiscal year 2026. So the upcoming budget year, the spending cap was put in place to say towns can't spend more than a certain percentage over the previous year if they want to be eligible for what's called the municipal revenue sharing fund grant. That was like in place only for 2 years. Then it kind of went away, but the spending cap is still there, but they're not like funding that grant. And so again, they're not funding it. So we don't have to worry about the municipal spending cap, which is why I didn't really bring it up during our budget conversations, because it seemed all indications were that this was not going to be relevant. And in fact, it is not. So that's good news. Next item on the agenda is approved minutes. We have the regular meeting minutes from May 8th, 2025. I forgot to put the link in the agenda, but they are posted on the website. So are there any, I guess, could someone make a motion and a second to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Okay, Keith made the motion.
I'm trying to look at.
I don't think you
I
were
wasn't
present.
there.
Yeah. So Pam, would you be willing to second?
I wasn't there either.
You're not there? Oh, okay,
No.
I can second in that case. Okay, any edits for these minutes? Okay, so now here's where the issue of people being not present, if you weren't present, you can't vote, because right now the only 2 people who can vote are Keith and I. And I don't think a motion can pass with only 2 votes.
So do you just want to, can we move to amend the motion to carry this over to the next regular meeting?
Yeah, I don't just think we don't vote and it'll just carry over. I don't think we have to make a motion to table it. So we'll just move it
I'll
up.
just withdraw the motion.
There you go, withdraw the motion and we'll do it next time,
That's easy.
hopefully. But this is why it's kind of a pain when you don't let people vote if they weren't present. Okay, public comment. Would anybody like to make a public comment? Okay, moving on. New business, first item is select woman's update. I think I just got an email from her. She said she is at the Eastern Highland Health Department Board of Directors meeting, will not be able to attend tonight's Board of Finance meeting. So I'm not gonna read this whole thing. I'll forward it to everybody, but I'll just give the highlights. She has a note here about the tax collector. Linda Gagney will retire September 1st, 2025. She has some very nice comments here regarding Linda's efforts. Okay, the Board of Selectmen has interviewed top candidates for her replacement last week, and they expect to announce the name of the new tax collector next week. So that's good news. So it sounds like there'll be an overlap, hopefully. Transfer Station Committee, Chuck Atkins has resigned after a long time on the committee. Transfer station stickers will expire June 30th. However, residents will be able to access the transfer station with the expired stickers until the committee meets, decides the format of the new stickers, etc. Ashford School Roof Replacement Project completion. A final punch list item should be completed this week. Ashford School Roof Solar Project. The town has received bids from providers for the solar photovoltaic system to be installed on the roof. And then the 300th anniversary committee. Committee plans to meet to discuss adjustments to the 300th anniversary fund for review by the Board of Selectmen, then consideration by the Board of Finance. I'm not really sure what adjustments mean, but I guess we'll find out. So that is the select woman's update. Update on the state budget. So the state budget passed. And we have final numbers, which I can share. Can you see this on your screen, Pam?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so over here is what was in the proposed budget. These are the numbers we used in preparing our town budget. So the big issue was that the education cost sharing grant was projected to come in 3.2% lower than the previous year. The final number that was actually approved over here is flat. So that's good news. Unfortunately, it comes too late for us to have adjusted our numbers and the mill rate. It wouldn't have had a huge impact, but every little bit helps. And then we're projected to have flat for next year. So at least for next year's budget, we have, in theory, firmer numbers to work with. And we don't have a cut to ECS for that next year. So that's good news. There's also something new that was included in the budget, and it's called the seed grant. And so Ashford, and it has to do, did I put, it's special education and expansion development. So every town gets a certain amount from this new pool of money. And Ashford is expected to get $35,197 each of the 2 years. So I don't really know much more about that other than it's a special ed.
It's to offset the mandates that they had put into that,
Right.
the other side of that budget, which
So-
it won't offset entirely.
Right, it's not gonna do a whole lot, but it's better than nothing. So anyway, so
Which
better,
pocket do you want to take it out of?
yes, exactly, better news, not bad news, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's that. The other thing I just wanted to mention, because it did come up on the town Facebook page, that there was a typo in the legal notice that ran in the Ashford Citizen regarding the mill rate. Now we or I, the Board of Finance, we don't prepare that notice. I didn't have anything to do with it, just for the record. I think it would be good just to state for the record that if we could include this in the minutes. Let me look up the the number that we actually approved. So the mill rate for for real estate and personal property is 36.377. That's what we approved. And then the motor vehicle mill rate is 32.46. So I think there was just like, the decimal point was in the wrong place.
Yeah, it was.
So I don't know whether they have to redo the legal notice as a result of that. I'm not sure what the rules are around that, but that's that. Okay. The next item is discussion of the steep grant local match. I was hoping that the first select woman would be here so we could discuss this, but at least I can get the board members up to speed. So the steep grant is funding that we applied for and received. We received notification a few weeks ago that we secured it. It was included in the capital budget, so therefore it was included in our budget package. The grant is to help cover the cost of repaving the transfer station and the Department of Public Works. And if you guys recall, we voted as a Board of Finance to allocate $80,000 from the unassigned fund balance as a municipal match in order to qualify for the grant. So in the budget, the capital budget, the project is listed as $480,000. And then it notes funding of $80,000 from the unassigned fund balance. And then a $400,000 grant from the state. So when the notice went out that the state put out a notice that said, hey, we approved all these steep grants. And in that notice, it said that our match wasn't $80,000. It was, let me give you the exact number. It was $104,701. So that led me to ask Chris Abacoff, who was the one coordinating the grant, and the first select woman, hey, did I just misremember this or what happened here? And Chris, let me just call up her email. Let me know that, yes, indeed, the final application for the grant that was submitted to the state did include $80,000 as a match. And then, sorry, I'm looking, this is not the right document. I'm looking for the application. My computer's not cooperating. Application. Sorry, okay. The application went to the state with, in addition to the $80,000 from the unassigned fund balance, it has another $24,701 of funding, bringing the total project to $504,701.31. So I just want this board to know that our budget says that this project is going to be $480,000, but now with additional funding pulled, it's going to be $504,701.31. The additional funding that has been identified by the selectman's office is $20,098 from the NIPS fund. And $4,603.31 from the DPW budget. Specifically, the pipe culvert line item. So my question about, I have a couple questions about that. The first question was, well, if something is, if we're allocating $20,000.98 from the NIPS fund, doesn't that have to come before the Board of Finance and go to the town meeting? Because anything over 20,000 is supposed to follow that process. But the first select woman said no, because the NIPS fund is a separate fund, it's not in the general fund. And so it according to she said the auditor, they can allocate monies from that.
It can only be used like for projects like the transfer station.
Yeah,
Right, and it qualifies under that. Yeah. So that answers that question. So I don't think a step was missed with that specific allocation. But my bigger question is just like, shouldn't this have been in the budget? I don't quite understand why the capital project plan wasn't revised to reflect
so I was
the
gonna,
new total.
was there any explanation given as to why that number was different than
No.
what they came to us with?
No.
Okay.
But
That's the.
also that was like, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to have a conversation about it.
Did they not know what the amount was going to be? Was that maybe considered?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it sounds like to me that their initial estimate was incorrect. But that doesn't give them that's not an
No.
excuse.
Well,
I think that. They. Should have come and at least told the Board of Finance that the estimates were incorrect and they needed to adjust the numbers. And then they should have also explained to the Board of Finance and therefore the public. That NIPS fund can be allocated without a town meeting. Because myself included, I was under the impression that it didn't matter what fund it came out of.
Yeah,
So, I would actually honestly like to see where it says that the NIPS fund doesn't fall under that.
let me give you exactly Catherine's wording. So that I'm not.
I'm not saying anybody's wrong or right. I'm
No, I
just
know,
saying
but
that-
she very specifically said something about the auditor, so let me just. Yes, okay. She said the only time a town meeting is required is when there is a change to a budget line that is 20,000 or more. That would be a one-time appropriation which would be brought before the Board of Finance and town meeting. This was confirmed with the auditor. The NIPS fund is not part of the general government budget. It is a fund that can be drawn upon for any amount at any time, as long as the money is to be used for transfer station waste management materials or infrastructure.
Is it not included in the general funds?
It's not, yeah, I checked the audit and it is broken out as a separate fund. And it, at the end of our, for the last fiscal year, so fiscal year 2024, there was like $7,000 in it. But that's what then the state
Right.
gave them more money, so
It
that's
keeps coming in.
how they were able to tap it for this. So I think, it sounds like, so I think maybe we can put this on the agenda for the next meeting and request that the first select woman attend if possible. And let her know that our question is, why did this project go from $480,000 to 504?
So,
And yeah.
and why wasn't it?
Yeah.
Brought to our attention.
Right. And was it just an oversight or, so I can put that on the agenda for the next meeting and let Catherine know that that's our question. Are there any other questions? Because I can let her know ahead of time so she can prepare.
No, just how
I
it,
just agree that they should, just for transparency,
Right.
Yeah.
so the question is. How did it go from 480 to 504 and change, and then I guess question number two is why did they feel, or why did they not come back to the Board of Finance to get it adjusted? If it happened in between. I just would like an explanation, it's not a question, it's just like an explanation. Because, but as Keith said, that's not. And I agree with you, Christina, like. Now, if somebody questions me out in public, I don't have an answer.
Right. And it will likely then go over budget. What it's budgeted as is 480. And so, I mean, now all projects go up, over budget. That's not unusual, right? But now it's definitely gonna go over budget by what is in the budget. So could we have accounted for that? Can we account for that now? I don't know if there's a way to make an adjustment
No,
at this point. I don't know.
I mean, at one way though, it's probably more realistic with the cost of what goes into paving a large parking area. Yeah, no, it's probably more realistic, but that doesn't change the fact. We should have just been at least having some information on this before,
Right.
before that.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting and ask those questions for the first select woman so she can explain it. So that's that. I just have an update on the Board of Finance presentation at the June 2nd Board of Selectmen meeting. So that was last week. Several Board of Finance members were able to attend, which I appreciate. I shared the presentation, I emailed it out to the members, so I won't go through that. I will say, it was, I think, a respectful conversation. The next step, that the Board of Selectmen identified was that they felt they needed to get an opinion from the town attorney on the legality of a committee, like the one I outlined. So we'll see what that comes back as. The one thing I will note in the presentation, I did say that we are projected to see this decline in ECS funding, and now it's flat, so that improves the outlook somewhat. But I don't think it's going to erase the challenges we're going to face with the Region 19 budget. I just think it's important that everybody understands that because the student population in Mansfield is declining so dramatically, 22% down over the last 10 years, our student population is going down too. It's happening everywhere, but it's gone down like 12%. So that means, and the same story in Wellington. So Ashford and Wellington are very similar. We've sort of gone on the same trajectory. Mansfield's gone like this, down a cliff. And we're gonna have to make up that gap year after year after year. And that's gonna put pressure on the general government budget and the Ashford school budget. And I think it's important that everybody knows that. And they start thinking about it now and not in March. So that's kind of my goal, is let everybody know, this is what we're facing.
We passed our budget, but Wellington is still
Yeah, they're voting, I think next
next
week,
week.
and Coventry as well. And Mansfield,
Say vote no.
yeah, did you guys hear that Mansfield, they're forcing it to a referendum?
Oh,
So
Cause they
they
don't usually have a.
typically, for whatever reason, they pass their budget at town meeting, they
Right.
don't go to referendum. But there is a provision in their charter that if they get a certain number of signatures, they
They
can
have to
force
post
it to
it,
a
yeah.
referendum, so that's what's happening now. So I don't know what'll happen to that. It's not, I don't think it's impacts Region 19. I don't think they did it for that budget.
I
Just
think,
for
I
the-
thought they already voted on Region 19 and that's.
It was a separate
Separate,
town
they do
meeting.
a separate thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't think that, so, yeah, things are unsettled, I would say. So, yeah, that's, we'll wait for updates from the Board of Selectmen on that. And in the meantime, I think, I'm open to ideas of how we can,
I think what Chuck said, and I agreed with him that night, was we should do something where we just invite the public to the meeting and ask for their thoughts.
So just like
Just have a regular meeting and just let people know that on our agenda on this night. We're gonna, we're seeking input from the public on what they see as. You know, basically what they think, where they think we could save money or where they see waste or however you wanna word it.
Mhm.
Instead of, and you know, don't do it in March, like you
Right.
said. Do it at the, probably maybe in late September when the kids are back in school and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna
So-
say, if we try to
Summer's
do
not
it in
good.
July or
Yeah,
August.
no, I wouldn't want,
Yeah.
yeah, but then again, and again, you know, just listen to the ideas, write them down, and then we can take them back and some of them probably have already been implemented or are not possible, and some might be, hey, maybe we can look at this, or
Mhm.
you know, like, there are a lot of things that happen that people aren't aware of, that we, you know, we try to, I should say, I think most departments look at things to try to save money. You know, I don't think any department in Ashford is running around not trying to make it, you know, as good, tight as possible.
Mhm.
But, I'm open to ideas. Oops.
Yeah, I mean, I like that idea, and I do think, yeah, the timing in September would probably be,
Yeah,
the best idea, and then I think if we could give it a little extra promotion. Cause unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people look at our agendas.
no, you'd have to do like Jeff and the P O C D did with PGC and try to, you know, let people know. And hopefully get some input,
Mhm.
not just. The same three people that come and complain about the same three things.
Mhm.
And you know what, quite honestly, if you promote it and people don't show up.
That's
Then-
feedback in and of itself.
Exactly, and then onto the committee with the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance, and then you pick people to actually look at it. From the top down instead of from the general public.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of people have ideas. That they may be, as Chuck said, way wacky, but that doesn't mean that they're wrong or bad.
Let's pick a date in September. Look at what our meetings are for September. So September, we have two meetings, September 11th and September 25th.
Well. Maybe I should look at September 2000. I'm like, why is it not showing all my stuff?
Think. Either of those would be good. I mean, September 11th is right after Labor Day, maybe September 25th, people will be a bit more in the. Back in the swing of things.
Yeah, your conflict with the fire department's car show, just telling you.
It's on the
It's
25th.
Last Thursday of the month.
Well, I don't wanna conflict with that. So maybe September 11th?
Yeah, or you can, I mean, unless you want to push it into like October.
I'd rather
it's up
not.
to you.
I think September 11th is good. Except for the whole. Anniversary.
Yeah,
Or we call a special meeting.
yeah, I was gonna say, do that too. Could have a special meeting.
Uh,
When did Jeff do it? Did he do it? He did a weeknight, right? The P O C D? I think so. Yeah, I think they did. I mean, I have no problem with September 11th. I just.
Yeah, let's pencil that in and. We obviously have some time between now and then, if other dates seem better, we can go with that, but let's pencil that in for now.
And I was, made with our. Paper, but even in, August. And.
Yeah, get it in August issue and the September issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, who does the website now, Karen? Make sure. Just get the word out.
Mhm. Okay,
And if we got the, any of the bulletin boards in town.
we could do some flyers, you're right, old
Yeah.
school.
Well, it's, I'd rather have people be annoyed that they're being told about this too often than they just, hey, we did everything we could to get your
Right.
attention.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I would love to see. I don't think we could do it within the context of our board, and this is where I feel like some other mechanism is required, but a regional meeting where we reach out to Mansfield, Wellington, Ashford. And say to all the towns, let's all have a meeting where we
Well-
discuss this.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think there are things that, the tax collector is a good example. I don't know how they did that search. But is there a reason that we didn't try to regionalize that or cooperate with another town?
I do know Catherine said, because I guess the town of Wyndham
Yeah, they collect for a lot.
has some, yeah, and so they brought those folks in to give a pitch to the town. And that Catherine said it actually wouldn't have saved money, which seems very surprising to me.
That seems very weird.
Yeah, I mean, I've been sort of digging through different, the town budgets for the three towns, and Mansfield they share now finance between Region 19 and the town of Mansfield. So they didn't used to do that, and they changed that
They
within the
changed
last couple of years. So that begs the question, is that something that could go broader? If you can do it between Mansfield and Region 19, you could do it between Ashford, Mansfield, Region 18, or
Do
Wellington.
it for other things, like our whole
Well, you could
the
do
building department and everything, that's all shared,
Mhm.
that is now.
yeah.
Yeah, but that is a problem though, because if you wanna talk to anybody,
Yeah, you have to make an appointment.
Good luck.
You just can't walk in, well, I know.
it's a catch 22.
Mhm.
But quite honestly, like, that's a little bit different where if you had a regionalized system where, and I'll use the building department as an example. You say that the building department covers whatever it is, 3, 4, 5 towns. And either you do one of two things. Say on Monday, they're at this building, Tuesday, they're at this building, Wednesday, or you just say they're always at this building, wherever it may be. A lot of places outside of the Northeast use a county-based system.
Mhm.
Where you go to the county offices to do any business. You don't ever go to the town hall. There's still a town hall. It's usually
Yeah.
just the selectman's office and,
Exactly.
and a registrar. But you go to the county system. And that's how they combine things. And yeah, is it for people who live on the edge of the county? It probably is annoying, but generally speaking, I mean, how many times you go wherever, whether it's Stafford or Willimantic or whatever. Most people go grocery shopping, there's no grocery store in Ashford last time I checked.
All right, well, I think the listening session in September is a good step in the right direction, and I'll try to do some more research on my own and bring it back to the board on other budgets, just because it's just impossible to for one person to keep track of all the different
Yeah,
ways people are doing things, but I think the more we know, the better off we'll be. So. All right, next, where did the agenda go? There it is. Okay. 24-25 audit updates. So just want to look up the dates. So we've officially signed an engagement letter with the auditor. We agreed to a 3-year term, but there's a letter, every year. And then the auditor, Jason from Hoyt Philip Hetty, is supposed to be here a little bit later this month, and I was just looking for the dates. Here we go. Okay. They have two scheduled days, June 17th and June 24th at the town hall for audit planning. For these 2 days, they will be testing controls, performing walkthroughs and preliminary tax collection procedures, getting bank and debt confirmations ready and authorized, and updating our records for anything new at the town that would impact the audit. By the end of the day on June 24th, we plan to have days scheduled in late summer, early fall to come back and test year-end balances, etc. So anyway, just letting everybody know that that's moving ahead and should hopefully be very smooth this year since it's their second year. Oh, one other small thing I noticed when I was signing the audit engagement letter, it lays out the fees, and we have it broken up so the town pays a certain portion and the school pays another. And so then I double checked that it matched our initial agreement with them. It did. And then I double checked the budget that we just passed. There was a $50 discrepancy on the Board of Ed line item, so they allocated $20,000 for the auditor, and it's actually $20,050. So I let folks know that happened. I don't think it's a huge deal, but just, and then it turned out that the business manager at the school didn't know that we had an agreement. So he requested that I send it to him. So at least now he's
in the loop.
up to date on.
Wasn't he here when we did that?
No, he started, because we signed with them in April and he started
that's
like
right.
July 1.
Right.
So I'm sure it got lost in the transition. Okay. I'm losing my agenda. Okay, so that's the audit update, and report. I have good news about that. Let's see, back to my folder for the annual reports. So we are working on the 23-24 annual report, and the annual reports are requested from all the different departments and boards. They were supposed to be in by Wednesday. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 missing, which is actually not bad. Way better than I thought it was gonna be.
There's only 14 departments.
No. There's 26, so about half are in. And most of the big ones are in. It's like some of the smaller ones that are not in yet.
They should have mine.
What are you again?
ZBA.
Yes, yours has been submitted, and fire department has been submitted. Fire marshal is always a problem child. Is it? Is it? Is it?
Charlie
Sweetlands?
Sweetlands.
Still? Okay.
Yes.
So I will send out emails this week, polite emails reminding folks, and that seemed to work last year. Once I kind of prodded people, we got them in, so I'm not concerned. I think we're in good shape. Agenda items for the next meeting. So the next meeting is in 2 weeks. We will have it because the assessor is going to join the meeting to talk about the process for reval. Since that's another big issue that's going to impact us next year is the reval. So
Okay.
she's going to talk it through with us, and then we can obviously ask questions. I think my big question is, my assumption is we're in a better position than a lot of towns in that towns like Wellington and Coventry had their reval this year, and they had not had a reval since COVID. So their revals were like in 2019. So they got
Okay.
hit with huge increase to their grand list, to their homes. And that I think was a big part of why their budgets failed. we had a reval in 2021, so we absorbed some of that inflation. We're probably gonna see more, but it's not gonna be as bad. I don't think as much sticker shock as some of the other towns. So that's my educated guess, and so I'm curious to hear if Lynn agrees with that. I also wonder if the real estate market happens to tank between
Yeah,
now
that would be really
and
bad.
October 1. Well, I just don't know when the cutoff is, like, do they literally, because I think it's as of October 1st.
Yeah,
So do they literally go by values on October 1st? I don't know. Because crazy things can happen, right? I feel like we're in for a market correction at some point. So, just don't know when. But anyway, so that's on the agenda for the next meeting. I don't think, and then we'll have discussion of the steep grant in the next meeting. And I don't think much other than that. And then try to have only one meeting in July, probably only one meeting in August, to give everybody a break for the summer. Any other items for next meeting? Okay. Remarks for the good of the board? I don't have much to say, other than thank you for your participation, being here this evening, and for those that came to the Board of Selectmen meeting, I appreciate that. And with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Good night.
Night, Pam.
So our next meeting is the 26th, right?